How much you are rating in .NET out of 5?
Out of 5, go for 4.
Okay. And what about proofs concept?
Yeah, go for 4, same.
And ASP.NET MVC?
ASP.NET go for 4, same.
Okay.
But that's my core skill set. Okay, so I will rate myself in all ASP.NET MVC, these are concept and database 4. I will go for 4.
Okay. So you have used generic method in your application?
Yes, generic method I have many times I have used in my current project. Okay.
Can we overload generic methods?
No, we cannot overload generic because the generic is not a specific data type, right? And the generic works, generic, the concept of that, the data type must be different or the number of parameters must be different, right? So generic is it's not a specific data type. Because it will be decided at the runtime. Okay, let's suppose that we have defined list, okay, and then it will be a specific type, right?
Okay. Have you used sealed classes?
Yes, I have used sealed classes. See, the concept of sealed class is that, okay, if you want to make your class final, okay, it should not be inherited further, right?
So can you give me one scenario where you have used sealed classes?
Yes. If I want to make my a singleton class, right? In that case, we can use sealed class, right? Because see, if we use a normal class, right, then it must be inherited, right? In that case, it will support more than one object, right? So that's why we should use sealed keyword, okay, so that it cannot be inherited further, right? So it will prevent to make a multiple object of a class, right? In that case, we have used that. Okay, and in my project also, we have defined one sealed class, okay, so that in the case of in my project is a MedLife insurance, right? In that one case, whatever the number of PPT, okay, primary paying term, okay, where we are passing that, right? So it will be a final class, right? Because it will calculate your premium based on the types of PPT, right? Premium paying term, okay, and a sum issue. So that's why in that case we have created a sealed class so that it cannot be inherited, and no one can change the sum assured calculation or premium calculation.
Okay. So can we create the object of sealed class?
Yes, we can create, okay, but we cannot inherit it, okay. So that's why the concept of sealed class. We cannot make an object of a sealed class.
Okay.
We can make it.
Okay. So what is boxing and unboxing?
See, boxing, when you are working on a different types of data type, right? So in that case, you have to typecast in the appropriate type, right? So that's why the concept of boxing and unboxing came. Boxing means conversion from object to the value type or the reference type, okay? And that's the reverse process of unboxing, okay? That it will create one overhead for the typecasting.
Okay. And what is the difference between finalize and dispose method?
See, dispose internally call, whenever, finalize means, whenever you are creating any object of a class, right, or any variable you are defining that, right. So finalize, it will pick all the unused object, right, and that it will send to the garbage collection queue, right, and dispose. See, we have to use one disposable interface for the use dispose method, right? So what will happen in that case also? You are using block, right? So that unmanaged classes if you have used or any unmanaged object, right? So in that case, we should use disposable interface and we have to define dispose method, right? Internally dispose, internally dispose will call finalize method. Finalize will always be called whether it's internally by the dispose. If you go for the destructor or the constructor, you can see that difference. So the reference object dispose class.
So what design pattern you have used in your projects?
I have used singleton and factory design pattern. Okay, and moreover, I have used for this one for Unity container also. Okay, that is for dependency injection. Okay, so that it will return the object at the runtime. So we are not making any concrete object in the appropriate layer.
Okay, what is dependency injection?
The dependency injection is a way to make your application loosely coupled, right? So we have a different layer in our application, like for presentation layer, database access layer, business layer, right? In that case, you must will give the reference of data access layer in the business layer, right? So if you create the concrete reference, right? In that case, if you want to make or if you want to change anything, okay, dependent layer must be changed, right? Okay, similar thing will happen into the presentation layer and the business layer also, right? So that's why we have used dependency injection. So, okay, with the help of interface reference and the class, okay, it will just register your class type with the help of interface, right? And finally, you have to just pass the interface object with the one read-only variable, okay, then it will return the appropriate object because see, that interface is binded with the class name, right? So in that case, okay, we have used one injection, it is called, it is called constructor injection, okay, in that constructor injection, I imply underscore obj something, right, for any variable, right, that will assign the object which will returned by the runtime.
Okay. You know extension methods?
Yes, I know. Extension method is a way to extend the existing class, right? Let's suppose that you have some class, okay, like for example string class, right? Okay, then that string class, if you want to extend the function, okay, then you can use extension method. Okay, that classes must be the static. Okay, and inside the parameter this keyword we must use that to just give the reference this string any object, right? So it will bind the yes, this is the keyword and the string is the class which you are going to extend that. Okay, and when you call the method, okay, we'll see up arrow sign.
Okay. Any experience in third party exception login?
iLogger which we have used, okay, that is for entity framework to log the exceptions.
Okay. Are you aware of circular reference?
Surplus?
Yeah.
Surplus, what you told Himanshu? Surplus?
Circular reference.
Yeah, circular reference is called a diamond problem, right? Let's suppose you have given the reference of database layer into the PL, right? And okay, and the DL into the presentation layer also. Okay, so it will confuse which layer we should call it, right? It is called circular dependency reference. And it is called also the diamond problem because it's a circular kind of layer. So it will say obviously your application will confuse which layer we should use that.
Okay. So what is encapsulation?
The encapsulation is a way, right? See, that is binded your classes and the property and the variables and the method in one single entity, right? It is called object because see, encapsulation means all the binded together, okay? And that behaves as a single entity. For example, object. Object is what? Object is a reference of a class. So inside a class, we have your defined properties, methods, okay? So that with the help of object, we can call a public property or a public method. So that is the encapsulation.
How to achieve multiple inheritance in C#?
By using interface.
Okay. How many interfaces we implemented in a class?
Say it can multiple we can use, right? I have not counted exactly, but we have defined multiple.
Okay, no issue. Suppose a class inheriting two interfaces with same method name. Okay. What error you get and how to resolve?
See, in that case, you have to give the qualifying name. Qualifying name, I mean to say interface dot method name you have to give, okay, so it will understand, yes, okay, this method is for this interface. Like for example, I1, I2 is there, okay. So we have two methods, void F1 and void F1 in both the interface, right? So you should define I1 dot F1, I2 dot F1.
Okay. What is polymorphism?
See, polymorphism is a way to achieve one form into the different behavior, okay. It's a simple definition, but in practically, like for example, function overriding, right? So base class is there, derived class is there, right? In the base class also, one one method is there by default, right? But the same method you are going to extend some extra features or functionality into the derived class, right? So that's what method is the same, functionality is different for base class, functionality is different for child class, right? So that is called the polymorphism. It can be of two types, static and the dynamic.
Can you give me the example of runtime polymorphism?
That is a function overriding case. See, base class can point to the child class, right? So like for example, base class, we have two classes, class C1 and class C2, right? So C1 obj is equal to new C1 we can give. In that case, what is happening? Base class is pointing to the child class, right? So obj.f1. So in that case, it will call the derived class method, right? So same method is there, different behaviors are there according to your requirement, right? If you want to call the base class method, C1 obj is equal to new C1, obj.f1, right? Base class, C1 obj is equal to new C2, obj.f1. The object is the same type, but the behaviors are different you are calling.
Okay. Now I'm moving in SP.NET MVC.
One second. I'm not, that can't hold properly phone. 1 second. Yeah, Iman. So my video is audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, now I'm moving in MVC.NET.
Okay.
So is MVC a design pattern?
Yes, it's an architecture pattern, right? It's not, it's a concept, right? Like concept a modern view control, right? It's a separate things we have given, right? See, what is happening in ASP.NET is that it one page default.asp is there, right? So the code behind is strongly binded to the default
framework.
Sorry,
Okay, got it. How MVC framework understands whether it is direct URL or coming from external?
See, we have a routing table concept, right? In that routing, we are defining the URL structure, right? So that's what, see, if one controller is there, right? Like for one, I'm sorry, some disturbance was coming from outside. Yeah, see, you are talking about the MVC, right? See, MVC concept, one controller is there, right? A default controller, right? In that default controller, you have defined some method, right? So that view is banded with the controller function name, right? So we are defining routing concept into the root config.cs file, right? In that one, URL structure is given. The structure of the URL is the controller / method / ID. It can be optional, right? ID can be optional. So whenever any request is coming through the browser, right? So it will go to the controller. It will resolve, okay, that the method exists. If it exists, it will go for a view, right? It will search the entire view into the entire application, right? It is into the same folder or a shared folder. So MVC will work in this concept.
Can your face is not visible?
That then I have to hold.
No. Yeah, now it is okay.
Yeah, okay.
What are the filters available in MVC?
See, we have two types. One is custom filter, okay, and one is ready-made filter, okay. That is given by the MVC, okay. And the custom filter, we can make our own filter, okay, and we can call it whether it's a controller level or the entire application level, right? It depends how we are going to use it, right? And one is ready-made filter, that is the custom filter, okay, exception filter, authentication filter, authorization filter.
Can we override the execution of order of the filters?
Yeah. Correct. Yeah, we can see. Let's suppose that we have defined two types of filter, right? One is the one is the ready-made, okay, that is given by the MVC, and one is the custom, right? So it depends how we have defined, okay, which one we have written first, okay. In that case, it will first pick this auto filter, then the second filter will be caught.
Okay. If I do not want to use try and catch, what is the best way to perform this?
See, yes, that's a good, because see, we can use in two ways. One in the global.asx file, or we can make one custom exception filter, right? That will be logged exception throughout the application, right? And second, when the global.asexpert we can use that, right? But best way is to use custom exception filter, and we can register it through the globally. So wherever the application exception is throwing from the application, we can track that. So it will give the entire detail. It depends on the how you have used the property into the class exception class, right?
Okay. Suppose if some controls in MVC are common, then how to create common collection object in MVC?
Some controls are common.
Yeah.
No, I did not understand. Can you just repeat your question?
If some controls in MVC are common, how to create common collection object in MVC?
Yeah. We can go for the partial page concept, right? Because see, some things are common throughout the application, right? So we can create a partial page, and we can code wherever we need that.
This data can be passed from UI to controller action.
Yes, we can pass through the multiple way. One is the form collection, one is the strongly binded object, right? Strongly type view. Strongly type view means we will define model, right? In that model, you have binded strongly into the view, right? So whatever the form fields are there, right? It will be binded strongly to the model's property, right? Second thing is the form collection, right? But in form collection, the problem is that we have to always loop through that and have to fix the value, and maybe you have to typecast the value also. So that's the problem of the form collection, right? Second concept is that form collection is for smaller form, right? Not for the bigger form. But you have a bigger form, so we can go for the strongly typed.
Okay. So what is the difference between game data, view data, and view back?
See, each is having different pros and cons, right? The game data we can pass through the controller to the view, right? It's a object, right? And view back is a dynamic property, right? And a view data, right? It's a object also, right? It's a dictionary object. But we have to typecast in the case of view data, right? And view back is a property, right? It's a dynamic property. So so view back also see the same property we have to write while fetching the value, right? If something is different, it will throw there, right? It will not check, it will throw there at runtime because it's not the compile time.
Okay. Can you explain the MVC life cycle?
See, MVC life cycle, see, whenever when is first time the page is requested, right? So first the request will go to the routing table, right? In that one, it will check the pattern of the expression of the URL, right? Then it will filter from there, how the expression has been written, how the URL has, into the browser has come, right? In that case, will filter, then it will go to the controller, right? Controller, because see, if you are going to from the browser /home/index, right? So obviously, home will be the first, will be the controller, second in the index is the method. Inside the same home controller, right? It will pass that into the from the routing table. It will go to the controller. It will pick those index method, then it will go to the IS label, right? In that IS label, it will go to the ASP.NET_each API filter.dll will comes into the picture, right? Then it will process the application, then it will generate the HTML pages and then render onto the browser.
Okay. You also experience in Web API and WCF?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Why should we use WCF service?
See, first is the web service, then Microsoft has introduced WCF service, then later came on the web API, right? Each is having different scenario, where we can use that, right? See, web service is for the strongly platform dependent, right? And WCF also, right? But then web service supports only one protocol, that is for the HTTP protocol only, right? But if your client understand, if your client is Java, right? If your client is .NET, see, multiple clients are, wants to consume the same service, right? Then we can go for the WCF service because we can host it, it supports multiple protocols, NetTCP protocol, HTTP protocol also, right? But but the request and response will be into the same format, that is called XML, that is SOAP-based format, right? So that way one problem is there for WCF also, right? But if the client understands XML, okay, if the client understands JSON, okay, then we have to go for the web API, right? It depends on the client, how the client wants to send the data, okay, and wants to get back the data from the server, okay. That is called the content negotiation part in the web API, right? Second thing is the REST-based architecture, right? Once the request come, then it will process that particular method only, right? But the problem in the web service and WCF is that once the client creates a proxy class of the both the service, right? Whether it is a WCF or web service, right? Okay, it can consume all the public method, right? It's not an URI specific thing. So that's the difference between all these three.
Okay. So can you create transactions in WCF?
Yeah, we can create a transaction also, right? So transactional means, see, we have done also in our MetLife also. Once the premium calculation was happening, right? So before that, okay, first application will be created, okay, then it will go to the fifth application, okay. In that case, the transaction must be the same, because if the application has been created, right, but the premium has not been calculated, okay, then the application will be destroyed, right? So that's what we have used transaction in our web API service also. So we have used web API and the web service both behind.
Okay. What is WCF concurrency?
Concurrency is the
Yes, Amar. I am audible? Amar?
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, we are speaking about the concurrency. Concurrency is a way, okay, to call your service, okay, multiple client, okay, by the multiple client at the same time, right? In that case, we should use concurrency model, right? There are different concurrency models we have in WCF service. One is the single. I'm just forgetting that exact word actually, okay, because we have different way to handle concurrency. I'm sorry, just okay, I'm not reminding that exact word.
In WCF, what type of implementation you have done?
In WCF, yes, we have created our WCF service, okay, and hosted on the UAT server, okay. I explain you my architecture. See, we have one .NET based application, okay, that is the illustration application, okay. Then we have illustration API service, okay, that is WCF service. Then we have Swift application, then we have stock application also, then we have finally live feature, right? So that's why, okay, so we have created WCF service to communicate between our illustration application and to the Swift application, right? So in that case, it will call your database through your API service, okay, that is the WCF service from the illustration to the Swift application. So we have hugely used our WCF service in our application.
What is self-hosting in WCF?
Self-hosting, you have created your application, WCF service, right? So who will host that? We have different types of hosting mechanism into WCF service. Like for self-hosting, any console application or any web application, okay, that will run your service, okay, that is called self-hosting. One is the IS hosting, that you are going to host your service into the IS service, right? It is based on the recycling process, right? And with the help of any third-party application like any web application or any Windows service we can use to activate your service. Okay, to activate your service, that is called hosting process.
Okay. What is instance context mode in WCF? Instance context mode in WCF.
Instance context. Yeah, that's what I was trying. Instance mode, that is single, but there are different ways that is instance mode. One is single, which I remember.
Which one?
I'm sorry, I'm not reminding right now.
Okay, no issue. Okay, now I'm moving to database.
Okay.
You know magic table?
Yes, I know magic table. See, the concept of magic table comes into the picture in trigger concept, right? See, when you are trigger, you have created any trigger, right? Because trigger based on the event, right? So there are two types of magic table. One is the inserted and one is the deleted table. Okay. So when you are inserting a new record in a table, right? In that case, it will in that case it will hit the trigger, right? So the new data will go into the inserted table, right? When you are doing any delete or update, okay, in that case old record will go into the updated one, okay, and the new record will go into the inserted, okay. Means, okay, for the auditing purpose you can track your data, okay, what the new data has been inserted or any delete
Okay, I got it. Okay. What is the difference between stored procedure and function?
See, store procedure and function, yes. See, function we cannot call it, right? It must be called inside the store procedure, right? And function we cannot use GML operation because, see, like for insert, update, delete one, right? It will not return the table, okay? But in the store procedure we can use it at GML operation, correct? So that's all the difference, okay? And function will compile always and all, okay? Whenever you will call it, it will compile. But the store procedure is a pre-compiled process, okay? That the execution plan will be created at the first time of compilation.
So how many primary key we can create in a table?
Only one primary key.
Okay. And what is the difference between primary key and unique key?
The unique key can be multiple, right? But primary key only one, right? When you create primary key, right? So only one it will support, right? Okay, then in that case it will create one clustered index on a table, right? But unique key, let's suppose we have a different types of candidate key or any alternate key, right? Okay, that one we can make it as a unique key.
Okay.